Desperate single mom's touching message revealed unexpected millionaire's amazing life-changing. Emily's hands trembled as she clutched the microphone, her heart racing in her chest. The summer night was alive with the sound of laughter and chatter, but all she could hear was the weight of her past. Was this really the moment that could turn her life upside down? She scanned the crowd, feeling the skeptical stares from neighbors who viewed her struggle as a defining label rather than a stepping stone. A deep breath, and she began, her voice quivering but strong. "Hello, everyone. My name is Emily. I'm a single mom, and I'm here to share a piece of my heart." The whispers quieted, curiosity piqued. Just a week ago, she was serving burgers and swapping stories at the diner, her daughter Lily waiting patiently each night for her mother to come home. Every dollar earned was a battle fought, every toy purchased a dream realized for a little girl whose spark of hope lit up their small apartment. But there was so much sacrifice behind that smile. "Times are tough," she continued, passion rising with each word. "I juggle 2 jobs just to put food on the table for my sweet Lily. But I refuse to let our circumstances define our dreams." As she spoke, she could almost feel the heaviness of her struggles lifting. Her fervent hope for change filled the air, nourishing the crowd's curiosity. Just then, a voice from the back interrupted, "But what hope do you have when life keeps throwing you curveballs?" It was Mark, a neighbor who had always seen her as a charity case. The buzz of the crowd tensed, a collective breath held. Emily met his gaze, holding her ground. "The hope is in our community," she said, her voice steady. "Together, we can change lives. We can uplift one another instead of judging. If I can keep fighting for my daughter's future, so can you." Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As her speech rolled onward, Emily spotted a figure in the back. James, the millionaire, stood there silently, arms crossed, his expression unreadable. He had come back to this community for the fundraiser but always kept his distance, a distant star amongst the earthbound. Yet, as he listened, something flickered in his eyes, a connection to something he had buried deep within. Change begins with us. We can't wait for someone else to fix our problems. Emily's voice rang out, vibrant and alive. The crowd clapped, many standing, drawn to her raw honesty. But James was wrestling with something deeper. When Emily stepped down, she caught James's eye. There was a spark, a flicker of recognition. As if the very essence of who they were once had been unearthed. In that brief moment, she saw the conflict within him, and it made her heart race with anticipation. Could this be the moment he reclaims the path he abandoned? Both stood on the precipice of transformation, and just like that, the atmosphere crackled with unspoken words and the promise of change. As Emily's message hung in the air, the crowd observed. What would happen next? Would James confront his past and bridge the gap between their worlds? Emily's heartbeat echoed in her ears as she descended from the makeshift stage, the weight of her words lingering in the warm summer air. She didn't notice the noise behind her at first. The raucous laughter or the clinking of glasses turned to whispers that filled the courtyard. The crowd was alive, buzzing with discussion, but her focus was on one man. James's eyes held hers, intense and searching, as if trying to piece together a puzzle that had long been scrambled. He made his way towards her, each step a mix of hesitation and determination, and Emily felt the world around her shrink into just the two of them. "Hey," he said, his voice low. That was powerful. "Thank you," she managed, surprised at how his presence made her heart flutter and quake. She felt vulnerable, yet oddly fortified. "I just wanted to share what's been weighing on my heart." James ran a hand through his dark hair, looking almost boyish in the fading light. "You were so honest. I could see it resonating with people." He glanced back at the crowd, which had now transformed into a collection of hopeful faces, drawn closer by her authenticity. Emily felt a swell of pride inside her chest. It was the first time in a long while that she felt wanted not just as a caretaker, but as a person worthy of being heard. I honestly just want a better future for Lily. It's why I'm fighting, she replied, glancing down to hide the tears that threatened to spill. I get that, he said softly. The brief pause between them filled with unspoken truths that weighed heavily on their hearts. Then, he took a small step closer. I used to be just like you, full of dreams, but somehow I lost my way. I thought wealth would bring me happiness, but it only made me feel more isolated. Emily studied him, her gaze flickering as she began to comprehend the depth of his words. What do you mean? She pressed, her curiosity sharpening. He inhaled deeply, his voice slightly trembling. I distanced myself from my roots. From the people I grew up with. I thought success would mean moving on, but it meant moving away. The vulnerability in his voice was magnetic. She could feel the honest connection threading between them, pulling her closer. Does it ever get easier? Emily asked, her voice a whisper now. James looked into her eyes as if searching for the answer. It can be hard to bridge that gap. I neglected the people who mattered. The community that raised me is still here, but I've been scared to come back. The first step is always the hardest, Emily offered, her heart aching at the thought of what they both had lost. But it's also the most important. A flash of determination sparked behind his eyes. You're right. I need to reconnect, not just for myself but for the people I can still help. As they stood there, the world around them faded away, their shared stories weaving an unbreakable bond. Emily felt a surge of hope. Maybe this was a turning point for both of them, a chance to rebuild their lives while lifting each other up. James, she said, forming her words carefully. If you're serious, there's a lot we can do together for this community. His expression softened, a hint of a smile breaking through. I'm willing to try. I want to use what I have to help others. As the crowd erupted in applause behind them, something changed in the air, something electric that made both their futures seem bright with possibility. Emily's eyes glimmered with a newfound bravery. But then, a shadow crept into her mind. Could she trust him? Could he really take that leap of faith? What if I fail? She whispered, the worry evident in her voice. Then we'll get back up, James replied, the earnestness in his tone pulling her in. Together. Just then, a loud cheer broke through the night, reminding them they were not alone. But in that moment, she knew this was only the beginning. What boundaries were they willing to cross for a second chance? Would they dare to transform dreams into reality? Emily's thoughts were racing as she stood there, absorbing the weight of their conversation. The warmth of the courtyard faded slightly, replaced by a chill of uncertainty. Could they really make a difference together? But the flicker of hope that had ignited within her now battled a wave of self-doubt. Then, a chorus of cheers broke through her thoughts. She turned to see individuals still talking passionately, rallying around the message she had shared. It resonated deeper than she realized. It wasn't just about her and James. It was about everyone who had felt lost, about their shared stories, their struggles, the hopes they all carried. Let us step outside, James suggested, breaking her reverie. We can talk somewhere quieter. She nodded, eager for the chance to exchange more than just words under the vibrant stars. As they moved away from the gathering crowd, her heart raced, and she wondered what lay ahead. The dim light from the torches flickered as they wandered into the shadowed corners of the courtyard. Do you think it's too late? He asked, the vulnerability evident in his voice. Too late for what? Emily replied, curiosity piquing that he stopped, placing a hand on her arm. To make amends. To reconnect. I haven't been back to my hometown in years. I hear my friends mentioning their lives on social media, and I just feel like a stranger now. It's never too late to reach out, she assured him, feeling a warmth between them that dispelled some of the night's chill. People filled with love and understanding often wait for someone to take that first step. A flicker of determination crossed James's features. Maybe I can use some of my resources to help those who have struggled just like me. I've accumulated wealth, but what does it matter if I'm the only one benefiting from it? Emily's heart skipped at his words. You have a chance to guide others. You could inspire them to find their own paths again. She paused, realizing the power of his voice. And you could heal too. Together, right? He added, searching her eyes for reassurance, a confirmation of the budding partnership. Yes, together, Emily smiled, emboldened by the kinship forming between them. If we dare, we can replow the soil of our roots, grow something beautiful, and help others along the way. As the discussion deepened, her nerves began to calm. She found strength in their shared commitment. They exchanged ideas, small sparks of creativity igniting as they envisioned community events, outreach programs, and support systems. What if we held a fundraiser? Something to bring people together and show them they matter? Emily suggested, the words spilling from her lips with an infectious excitement. James's eyes lit up. Yes. A community fair where everyone can share their stories, their art, food, hold workshops. Everyone has something to contribute. We can celebrate each other, turn this place into a beacon of hope. Emily laughed, the idea bubbling over inside her. And we could invite everyone without any judgment. Just pure support. But as her excitement swelled, she caught sight of the unease returning to his face. Emily, he began, and she noticed the hesitation creeping back in. What if the community doesn't see me the way you do? What if they don't want my help? Then we prove them wrong. You have a heart to give back, and that should speak volumes. Before he could respond, a familiar voice echoed in the distance, pulling their attention. Lily, her daughter, was weaving through the crowd, her small frame glowing with a childlike happiness. Mama! Look what I drew! She exclaimed, holding up a piece of paper with vibrant colors. The innocence in her voice silenced Emily's concerns, anchoring her in the moment. That's beautiful, sweetheart. Emily said, kneeling to embrace her daughter. James smiled at the sight, warmth enveloping him. For a fleeting moment, everything felt right. But as Emily stood back up, she couldn't shake the feeling that the path ahead might not be as easy as they hoped. Lily, come meet James, she said, motioning for him to join. And as he knelt down to greet her, a familiar shadow lingered over Emily's heart. She thought about Lily's future, the struggles they might face ahead, and the potential pitfalls of dreams that might falter. Could they really lead together? Would the community open its arms wide enough to embrace a transformation? Emily clutched her daughter's hand tightly, determined yet anxious. This was just the beginning, but what chaos would come from their dreams? As Emily knelt beside her daughter, she noticed the hesitance in James's eyes. The joy in their moment felt fragile, like a bubble that might pop under the slightest pressure. He gave Lily a smile, but she could see the worry bubbling back inside him, swirling with uncertainty. Emily's heart sank a little. They were embarking on this journey, but what if they stumbled? Your drawing is amazing, Lily. Did you just create it? James asked, his voice gentle, coaxing the child to share more. Lily beamed, her tiny hands gripping the paper. Yes. It's a rainbow with unicorns. They're flying over the park. The innocence in her words was intoxicating, a sweet reminder of pure joy that made Emily almost forget the weight of adult worries. James leaned closer, captivated. Unicorns, huh? I've never seen those at our local park. You should take me there sometime. Lily's eyes widened with excitement. Yes. I can show you all the best spots. Emily couldn't help but smile watching the two connect. Yet, a tension brewed inside her. Was this playful moment enough to fortify a partnership that could withstand the challenges ahead? I think we should start organizing the fair soon, she said, her voice steady despite the worry in her chest. The sooner we can get people excited, the better. James nodded, a flicker of enthusiasm igniting in his gaze again. We could set up a meeting at my place this week. I'll reach out to vendors, artists, and anyone from the community who might want to join. I can feel it in my bones, this is the right move. Emily's pulse quickened. The more he spoke, the more alive she felt. Yes. We'll create something that really connects everyone. But we must be open and honest about our pasts. I know, he replied, glancing away for a brief moment. I need to remember how I got here. It's hard to face that sometimes. Taking a deep breath, Emily reassured him. It's okay to feel that way. We all carry our stories, and they shape who we are. Your past struggles can help others. James looked at her, his gaze steadying. Maybe this is a chance for me to finally reclaim my story. Just then, Lily's laughter drew their attention. Mama. Uncle James. Look. I just found a ladybug. She jumped up, her little legs sprinting off toward the nearby bushes, her joy contagious. As Emily watched her daughter dance with the ladybug, hope wrapped itself around her heart. If Lily could see the beauty in small things, surely the community could rediscover their joy too. She turned to James. We are going to do this. Together. He shifted closer, the weight of the world momentarily lifting from his shoulders. Together. His voice was soft but full of resolve, but just as they shared this moment of connection, a commotion arose from the other side of the courtyard. Cowbells clanged, and people began murmuring, frantic and excited. Emily's stomach dropped. Was the excitement for their initiative, or was something else happening? Let us go see, James urged, taking Emily's hand. They rushed toward the sound, curiosity propelling them forward. As they approached, Emily's heart raced again. What was going on? Her unease rose as the crowd parted, revealing faces painted with astonishment and awe. In the center, a tall figure stood, a mix of confidence and mystery. It was Marshall, a local businessman known for his philanthropic endeavors, but rarely seen at gatherings like these. Emily wondered, was this another chance or a storm on their horizon? Everyone, listen up. Marshall's voice boomed. There was a buzzing anticipation, electrifying the air around them. What could he possibly want to announce? Would it be something that would aid them or add to their struggles? Emily, what if this changes everything? James whispered, his grip tightening around her hand as they stepped closer to the unfolding scene. Could it truly shift the tide of their budding dream? Or would it derail the fragile hope they had begun to build? Emily, what if this changes everything? James's voice broke through the increasing murmur of the crowd, a sense of urgency threading through his words. The buzz around them grew louder as more people pushed forward, trying to catch a glimpse of what Marshall had to say. Emily felt a knot forming in her stomach. Was it excitement or dread? She had no idea. As she looked at Marshall, his confident posture seemed to stretch beyond the courtyard into the very lives he aimed to impact. But what if his announcement threatened their plans for the fair, smothering the small flame of hope they had ignited? Thank you all for gathering, Marshall continued, his voice like a warm blanket. I'm here today to announce an exciting new initiative that's about to change our community for the better. His eyes scanned the crowd, landing on Emily for a brief moment. A flicker of recognition passed between them. Was it simply a mirage? What does that mean? Someone shouted from the back of the crowd, and there were murmurs of curiosity all around. He held up his hand for silence. We're launching a project to revitalize our neighborhood. We'll be bringing in local artisans, food vendors, and community events. We're looking for partners to help breathe life into our struggling businesses. A swell of excitement erupted, hands clapping and voices cheering. Emily's heart raced. This could be the catalyst they needed for their plans, but would it pull attention away from their fair? Just last week, I met with some amazing people who are ready to invest in our community. And I want to challenge each of you to contribute your ideas, your creativity, and your spirit. Let us turn this vision into reality. As the cheers intensified, James squeezed Emily's hand tighter. This is incredible. We could be a part of something bigger. This could help us reach more people. His eyes sparkled with the sincerity of his excitement. Or we could be lost in the shuffle, Emily cautioned, her voice low but firm. What if they see our fair as a competition? What if they don't want us involved at all? She took a step back, engulfed by uncertainty. As much as she wanted to hope, her heart felt heavy with the weight of past failures, all the dreams that had come crashing down around her. Nonetheless, she couldn't let that overcome her. Emily? James's voice broke through her spiral of thoughts. We need to meet with him. Let us go talk to Marshall. This could be our chance. Emily hesitated. What if he sees us as a threat? What if he dismisses us? He stepped closer, his gaze steady. Or what if he sees our passion and wants to partner with us instead? It's worth a shot. She bit her lip, torn between fear and hope. Perhaps this was what they had been waiting for, a way to weave their dreams into something larger than life. A hand reached out, and she could feel the warmth radiating from James. It grounded her, pulling her toward the possibility of something incredible. Taking a deep breath, she nodded. Okay. Let us go talk. As they stepped forward, her heart thudded in her chest. She could see the crowd around Marshall buzzing with enthusiasm, but the unmistakable feeling of desperation pulsed through her. Remember, she whispered to herself, we can't let fear define our path. But just as they prepared to approach, someone from the crowd darted in front of them, yelling a name. Marshall. Wait. Emily's heart sank again. As the figure came into view, she recognized him instantly. It was Chris, an old acquaintance tangled in a web of scandal and estrangement from their community. What did he want? Would his presence bring the chaos she feared, or did fate have another plan in store? Chris was weaving through the throng, a wave of energy rising with each desperate shout of Marshall's name. Emily felt her breath hitch as memories of their past rushed back, moments cloaked in a haze of disappointment and resentment. He had once been the shining star of their small town. But then, like a meteor crashing into a serene night, he had spiraled into controversy, leaving nothing but shattered dreams in his wake. Marshall. Chris finally reached the pile of eager faces, shoving his way to the front. The crowd, initially electric, fizzled into a murmur of confusion. Curious eyes narrowed, awaiting his next words. What could he possibly want? Emily whispered, her apprehension thickening. She exchanged a glance with James, his jaw tightened, concern flickering in his eyes. Let us get closer, he urged, and they edged their way forward, feeling the pulse of the gathering shift. Fear and hope danced in Emily's chest as they drew nearer. Marshall, I know you're all about community. Chris called, breathless, leaning against the makeshift stage. But we need to talk about getting real change. Look, you need my help. Emily's stomach churned. This was the last thing they needed, Chris, attempting to capitalize on Marshall's momentum. The crowd was restless now. Some leaned in, intrigued by the drama unfolding, while others looked puzzled, chattering among themselves. Your help? Marshall's measured tone cut through the anxious whispers. With what exactly? Last I checked, you were more into taking than giving. There was a flicker of disapproval in his eyes. Chris wiped the sweat from his brow. I've changed. I can bring businesses to the fair. Connections no one else in this town has. Just hear me out. I can drive people to support. He cleared his throat, desperation making his voice louder. Let the fair be the first step in this revitalization. I believe it can work. A ripple of murmurs coursed through the crowd as people processed the statement. Emily clenched her fists. This was how it was supposed to go. Emily, James said softly, maybe we should make our move while everyone's attention is on Chris. Are you crazy? She hissed, eyes wide. You know he doesn't really care about the community. He's using people's hopes to boost his own agenda. James shook his head, determination flickering behind his gaze. But he's right about one thing, our fair could bridge this space for growth. We have to get in there now. As if sensing their conversation, Chris' voice rose again. I have investors who are interested in supporting local events, and I could steer them toward us if we work together. A wave of uncertainty crashed over Emily. Yes, Marshall was a visionary, but introducing Chris into the mix felt like inviting a tornado into their fragile setup. She looked to James, whose eyes urged her to act, to seize the moment, while her heart screamed to pull back. Emily. James pressed, stepping slightly ahead, lifting his hand as if it could command attention. We could approach right now, plant our vision in his mind. The decision lay heavy in her chest, risk everything by stepping into the spotlight or retreat into the shadows, letting Chris steal their thunder. Just as she opened her mouth to respond, the crowd erupted again, this time in anger. Stay out of it, Chris. Someone yelled, shaking heads in disapproval. The atmosphere shifted, the weight of collective disdain driving Chris to stagger back slightly. In that moment, Emily felt the shifting tides. Maybe, just maybe, there was still a chance to weave their dreams together, to ground them in this moment. Okay, let us go, she said, feeling a surge of confidence. We can't let our vision die. With newfound purpose, Emily clutched James's hand, and together they stepped forward, but as they approached the stage, a low voice pulled them back. And what if it all unravels? What if this is all a mistake? Her own doubt echoed back in her mind like thunder, swirling around her. Could they embrace the opportunity, or were they heading straight for disaster? Emily took a breath as she and James stepped closer to the stage. The crowd seemed to part in front of them, a quiet space opening up as they moved. She could feel the weight of their eyes, the anticipation hanging in the air. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. Marshall. She called out, her voice cutting through the murmurs. The crowd quieted slightly, turning their focus towards her. She sought Marshall's gaze, seeing a flicker of recognition amidst the tension. Emily? He responded, an eyebrow raised, curiosity mingled with caution. What do you want? I want to help, she declared, her voice steady despite the heat rising in her cheeks. We all want to help. Chris is right about one thing: the fair can be the starting point of something bigger. But not if we let him take it away from us. The crowd shared nervous glances, uncertainty crackling around them. Emily pushed through the anxiety coiling in her stomach. We can unite. We can bring our community together, we just need to focus on what's right for our town. James stepped beside her, his presence solidifying her resolve. We've got ideas, plans, a vision, just like you said, Marshall. This fair can represent more than just a day, it can symbolize hope. If we partner, we can steer this in the direction the community really needs. Marshall's lips twitched, a flicker of interest replacing the skepticism on his face. So you want to work together? After everything that happened? Yes, she responded, her heartbeat loud in her ears. People are scared. They need to believe in something. Let us show them their voices matter. It doesn't have to be about him or his agenda, it can be about us. A murmur pulsed through the crowd again. Emily saw hope igniting in their eyes. It swelled around her, wrapping her in a warm blanket of courage. Chris stood slightly behind, flustered yet trying to regain some control over the situation. You really think you can handle this? After everything? He challenged, his voice a mix of condescension and disbelief. Yes, Emily bit back, her voice thriving in intrusion. Because it's our community, and we know what it needs. Just look around, people are longing for connection, for involvement, for ownership. The divided audience hummed with thought. A young woman stepped forward, taking a chance. We've seen what you both can do. But we want transparency. Can we trust you? Emily felt the lump in her throat rise, the question hanging heavy. Trust was fragile, hard-earned. We can't change everything overnight, but give us a chance. Together we can prove that we care. We want to breathe life back into this town. And just like that, hope seemed to spread like wildfire. Faces brightened around her, murmurs rising above the din, a collective sigh of relief filling the spaces between them. As Emily took a step back, she caught Marshall's eye, and he nodded slightly, a silent agreement flickering into place. But just as they built this brittle foundation, a man, a stranger, suddenly shouted from the back. You really think you can fix this? What if you fail? The crowd turned again, their enthusiasm wavering. Doubt loomed large, just as it had before. Emily felt that storm brewing once more inside her. But this time, it was different. She faced the crowd, heart racing. "We will face that fear together." A rousing cheer broke forth, and she felt her spirit lifting. The tone had shifted, but the uncertainty still lingered. Yet as she looked at James, rallying confidence mirrored in his eyes, she thought they might just have ignited something real. What if it all unravels? She asked herself. But what if it turned into something beautiful? With that thought at the forefront, Emily knew this was just the beginning. Could they hold on to this spark of change, or were they inviting chaos back into their fragile existence? The question loomed as she glanced toward the horizon, where the sun dipped low, casting long shadows that danced between hope and fear. The energy pulsated around Emily and James as they stood at the edge of the stage, catching fragments of conversations rippling through the crowd. She could feel the nervous anticipation. Each face offered hope, skepticism, or a mix of both. "Let us talk about what we can do," James urged, stepping forward. "This isn't just about the fair or what Chris wants. It's about what we all want: a better tomorrow." Emily nodded, feeling the fire in her heart. "Exactly. We can gather ideas, get everyone involved. We can host meetings, share plans. Let us turn this fair into a celebration of community and resilience." People shifted, their expressions changing ever so slightly. There were looks of intrigue, but the whispering lingered as if some invisible thread still bound them to hesitancy. "Meetings?" Chris scoffed, irritation bubbling to the surface. "You think people will show? They don't believe in this anymore." Rising above the noise, Emily responded with conviction, "They will if they see we're serious. Our community has been through a lot. But isn't that all the more reason to come together? We can make this fair an emblem of healing." A man in the crowd stepped forward. "But what if we make promises we can't keep?" he asked, his voice steady, though doubt surfaced in his eyes. "That fear is valid," Emily said, hands on her hips, feeling the weight of every gaze. "But if we don't try, we will lose everything. Complacency is our enemy. Let us show them that love for our town can triumph over fear." The crowd hesitated, but behind her, she felt James tighten his grip on her shoulder. They moved as one, pushing against the doubt hanging in the air. "Think of all those who want to see change. They want to believe we can make a difference," James added, his tone rising with passion. "That we have the power to take our community back." With a deep breath, Emily gazed into the faces that surrounded her, seeing glimmers of hope, the hint of belief starting to sprout. "You know, this might just be a fair, or it could be the first step to reigniting our community spirit. Every great journey begins with a single step." Another murmur spread. She could feel the energy shift. And then Marshall spoke, finally breaking through the noise. "I admire the spirit. But we need a concrete plan. We can't just wing it." "Yes, we need structure," a woman called out. "Ideas that will really bring people here." Emily's pulse quickened with purpose. "Let us create a festival theme. We can attract local artisans, food vendors, a parade, music." The crowd's quiet contemplation began to morph into excitement, nodding heads and whispers of agreement replaced the earlier skepticism. "Let us meet at the community center tomorrow," James shouted, rallying energy behind him. "Bring your ideas, your hopes. Let us build something amazing together." A young man raised his hand, hesitance etched across his face. "Can we really bring everyone back? What if it floods with memories of what we lost?" "Then we honor those memories," Emily replied softly, her heart aching. "But we also create new ones. Together, we must be stronger, not only for those we've lost but for ourselves." The crowd cheered, tentative yet electric, something bright shimmering in the air like starlight after a tumultuous storm. Emily's heart soared, a rapid pulse of hope echoing your thoughts. As they began to disperse, whispers of excitement erupted among the crowd, the tide turning. But just as they felt the weight of possibility, Chris stepped closer to her, urgency flashing in his eyes. What if they're not ready for the truth? That the past might come crashing back, harder than before? His words struck a chord deep inside her, a chilling reminder that the past could loom like a dark shadow, waiting to creep back in. "What truth do you mean?" Emily asked, her voice steady despite the unease that settled in her stomach. "There are things that could ruin what you just built," Chris whispered, and she could see his eyes were sharp with concern. "Things you don't know." A shiver ran down her spine, uncertainty pooling like lead in her heart. As she faced him, the sun dipped lower, painting the sky with hues of crimson and gold, a stark contrast to the dark whisper of his warning. What could unravel them now? This was only the beginning, but she felt the weight of a looming storm, and danger lurked closer than she dared to accept. Could she handle the truth that threatened to unravel everything she believed in? Emily shook her head, trying to dispel the anxiety clinging to her thoughts. The crowd was dispersing, but all she could focus on was Chris's warning. It felt like a dark cloud was hovering above, twisting and churning with unspoken fears. Deep down, she knew he was right. The past held secrets that could shatter their fragile hope. "Emily." James's voice broke through her reverie, and she turned back to him. His features were etched with concern, but also a fierce determination. "Are you okay?" "I don't know." Her voice trembled, and she clenched her fists. "Chris says there are things we don't know, things that could ruin what we've just started." James pushed back his shoulders, a spark igniting in his eyes. "Listen, whatever shadows loom from the past, we can face them together. We've already sparked something tonight, don't let doubt steal it away from you." She nodded, grateful for his support. "You're right. We can't let fear dictate our journey." Yet, even as they headed away from the stage, the shadows danced in her mind. What could those things be? What truths lay hidden, waiting to erupt during the festival? An array of questions twisted like a knot in her stomach. But just as quickly as they arose, she brushed them aside. Fighting back the past was a challenge, but forging a vibrant future felt equally powerful. The air was buzzing with the chatter of excited voices the next day as folks gathered at the community center. Emily surveyed the room, colors splashing the walls from streamers and posters filled with ideas for the fair. A surge of optimism threaded through the crowd. She had to believe in this, believe they could weave the threads of hope into something tangible. "Okay, everyone. Let us get started." Emily called out, heart racing as faces turned towards her, filled with eagerness and anxiety alike. She stepped up on a chair, feeling as if she were world's mightiest woman, bathed in sunlight while stepping into the spotlight. "We're here to create a festival. But it's more than just an event. It's our chance to reclaim our community. I have ideas." A voice piped up. It was the same man from the day before, who had expressed concerns over promises. Now he looked energized. "What if we have a storytelling corner? We can share our experiences, where we've come from and where we're headed." "And a mural," a woman chimed in. "A large art piece to symbolize our recovery and values. Something everyone can contribute to." Emily felt hope flutter inside her chest. They were bubbling with creativity, building momentum. As discussions erupted, one woman finally stood up and said, "But we need to talk about the past. It can't just be forgotten. We need to acknowledge it if we're going to heal." As she uttered those words, the energy in the room shifted. People were nodding, murmuring in agreement. Emily's heart raced, a mix of thrill and apprehension. They couldn't bury their past, but to face it together was a different matter. "And we need honesty," Chris's voice echoed from the back, piercing through the rising excitement. "What happened? It still matters. Those who've suffered need voices," he added, his tone steady yet firm. The mix of emotions in the room was palpable. Could they blend the stories of loss and hope together? "Okay, how do we do this?" Emily called out, determination hardening her resolve. "How can we embrace the truth while honoring those we've lost and celebrating how far we've come?" A round of whispers filled the community center as people began to share their stories. As Emily listened, she found her pulse beating in time with their words. Each narrative held pieces of a collective heart, beating, alive with history and resilience, but just as hope soared high, Chris caught her attention, his expression shadowed. "Emily," he said, glancing nervously at the gathering crowd. If we dig too deep, we might unearth truths that aren't meant to be uncovered. Are we ready for that? She felt a chill crawl up her spine. Would their attempts to heal expose unwanted pain? Can we truly carry this weight? She said, both to herself and to Chris. Outside the center, dark clouds rolled in, threatening to rain down their secrets. The tension in the air was heavy, as if the storm anticipated the truths hidden beneath the surface. With every heartbeat, a thought lingered. Would discovering the past truly set them free, or would it tear them apart? Emily looked back at James, who stood staring over the crowd. His faith in the community was unwavering, and in that moment, she found strength in that unwavering commitment. But would she be ready when everything broke loose? As the first drops of rain began to fall, she took a deep breath, wondering what truths awaited them just beneath the surface. Emily stood at the podium, heart racing as the final meeting drew near. The community center buzzed with hopeful energy. She scanned the faces of her neighbors, some newcomers, but most familiar, marked with light and warmth. It reminded her of the night she had shared her heartfelt message. She met their eyes, and she felt their anticipation. This wasn't just another meeting, it was a celebration of their growth and a chance to reclaim their stories. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're not just planning a fair. We're sharing our dreams, our pain, and everything in between, she began, her voice rising with enthusiasm. Applause erupted, echoing between the walls, and Emily felt the energy lift her spirit. Each clapping hand meant something: transformation, connection, healing. As they dove into ideas for the festival, Emily felt the stirrings of hope come alive. Let us have workshops, she suggested, excitement bubbling over. We can invite the kids to learn about art and storytelling, share stories of our history and dreams. Yes. Someone shouted. We can create a bridge between past and future. Let us showcase our local talent. Music, dance, theater. Another voice chimed in, startled. Emily turned as Chris, who had been strangely quiet, took a step toward the front. And let us not forget what brought us here: the struggle, the loss, the love, he said, his expression serious. If we want to move forward, we need to face what hurt us. A beat of silence took the air out of the room. Emily's heart sank. Could they be ready for that? The whispers of doubt crept back, like shadows under the low light. James stepped forward too, his eyes bright with engagement. Chris is right. We can't ignore the pain, we can acknowledge it while still letting hope shine through. Let us share our growth alongside our scars. Nods began to ripple through the crowd. It felt like a turning point, a true unification of their stories. Let us do it, Emily said, emboldened. Let us have a wall where people can share their stories. We'll call it the Wall of Strength. It'll hold our memories and showcase our resilience. Cheers erupted, igniting a spark of unity. The energy crackled in the room as they brainstormed, each member contributing intricately to the tapestry of change and acceptance. Lily sat by her mother, eyes wide, soaking in every word. Mama. Can I draw a picture for the wall? She exclaimed. Emily's heart swelled with pride, a connection bridging generations over creativity and expression. Absolutely, sweetheart. Your voice matters. Hours flew by. With every shared idea, Emily felt the collective weight of their community lifting. Even as clouds rolled across the sky, threatening rain, the atmosphere inside flourished with warmth and enthusiasm. But just when elation felt at its peak, Chris interjected again. If we're going to embrace our past, we need to prepare for how that affects everyone. Emotions can run high, will we be ready? The room fell quiet, and Emily held her breath. Yes, we will. A voice suddenly shouted from the back. We'll be honest and give people the space to heal together. Emily felt that familiar warmth return. Exactly. We're not alone in this. We are stronger together, and together we'll face whatever comes. The crowd erupted, cheers ringing louder than before. Community spirit surged through each voice and heart. Each pulse of excitement fed her hope. As the meeting concluded, Emily stood back, breathless. She caught James's eye across the room, a smile, a nod, a shared sense of victory. They had created something beautiful and they would nurture it through every obstacle. Outside, rain began to patter softly against the windows, a gentle reminder of the challenges that lay ahead. But not today. Today was filled with possibility. Lily tugged on Emily's sleeve. "Can we start on our drawings for the wall, Mama?" "Yes, sweet girl, let us go home and get started." As they walked out into the rain, Emily held her daughter's hand tightly, hope blooming in her chest. The worst was over. It was time to embrace the journey ahead. In the following weeks, they worked tirelessly, pouring their hearts into the festival preparations. The energy shifted from warm to electric as the day arrived. A celebratory air filled the streets as banners and streamers decorated the village. Families gathered, laughter echoed, and friends held hands. Emily stood at the center of it all, a beautiful collage of colors and faces surrounding her. The wall of strength had come alive, adorned with stories, drawings, and promises of a bright tomorrow. As the sun broke through the clouds, illuminating their efforts, Emily could feel transformation breathing in the air. Finally, she understood it wasn't just about the fair or helping others, but about the strength they all carried within. In that moment, Emily glanced around and saw hope illuminating the faces of everyone around her. They had harnessed their past to create a future, braving the storm together, hand in hand. As cheers erupted, James stepped closely beside her, a gentle squeeze of reassurance between them. "Emily, look at what we've built." "I know," she replied, tears brimming in her eyes. "I couldn't have done this without you." But as she clutched her daughter's hand, she understood this. It wasn't just about them. It was about a whole community once again standing together. The anxieties faded into background noise, and a new chapter unfurled in front of them. They had taken the first brave step to create a ripple of hope and a bond that would last through anything life could throw at them. This was it. This was their moment. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Every click makes a difference. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. We want to hear from you. And for the ones who believe in transformation, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this. Don't wait not even one more second to share, and show your support if you're a true fan.